Welcome everyone, and today we are doing the Fairy Oracle daily reading. Right. Our first one today is the 12 Dancing Princesses, Enchantment. Within fairy tales, there are strict rules. Of course, when we first read the tale, we understand in the world of the story that the 12 dancing princesses are not doing what they ought to be, for they are princesses. Their job is well beyond dancing in enchanted realms, living a free and wild life in the forest. They are to be married advantageously. They are to breed more little princes and princesses, and they are to be wise, delightful, bountiful, and obedient. The 12 princesses of this tale are not any of those things. Instead, what they are is free. They are escaping the bonds of marriage over and over, every night with the help of their magical shoes. Their father, frustrated and important, as all kings come to be, wants fresh blood for the kingdom and offers his daughters to any man who can discover where it is his daughters vanish to each night. The punishment for failure is death. So the princesses leave behind their dancing nights a field of bodies. The unrealized promise of the young hunter. In time, of course, one comes who uses his wits as well as his courage, who has charm as well as health, and who finally solves the mystery and breaks the spell. This, of course, leads the princesses doing as they should, putting away their dancing shoes and beginning their role as princesses, mothers, nurturers. This is a tale that in many ways sets up the princesses to look selfish, hedonistic, and irresponsible. And yet they are living their lives and in an enchanted realm where their greatest joy is to dance. They are living in the shadows of the night. They are free, as so many women and princesses long to be. Free to dance, to speak, to learn, to be free, to travel, to dream without becoming the wife and the mother. For them to give this up takes one who is worthy of them. And thus it is with this card if you are contemplating giving up any of your dreams, or indeed any of your freedom, and taking up a great irreversible responsibility. Be sure that when you do so, the one for whom you sacrifice your dream self is thoroughly worthy. And if they are not, let them go. Let that dream of love die, metaphorically, as the young prince did. For it is not any child's duty to fulfill the dreams and wishes of the parent. The king desires for his daughters to obey, but until they meet one who is worthy, they cannot. The spell of freedom, of the dance of the soul, is too powerful, and in fact it can never truly be given up. It is simply that at times we find one with whom we wish to dance during the day, as well as in our dreams at night. Next one is the White Snake, Understanding. In this tale, a king has all knowledge due to a white snake brought to him each evening in a dish by a faithful servant. But one day the servant peeks below the lid of the dish and sees the snake. He takes a bite of its flesh, and at that moment all knowledge in the world becomes available to him. He speaks all languages, understands all things, and hears without limits or restraints. Simultaneously, the queen loses her most treasured ring, and the faithful servant is suspected of having stolen it. As he is the only soul who has permission to enter the queen's chambers, he is brought before the king and told that unless he can name the villain, he will be executed the next day. But gifted as he is with the language of all things, he hears a duck speaking of a heavy stomach and knows this creature has swallowed the precious ring. The duck is roasted for dinner. The ring is found. The servant is not only forgiven, the king grants him a favor as an offering to make amends. On he goes, and in time, it is the language of the animals that bring him great good fortune. That and his empathy and kindness, for now he can understand the animals. He knows they love life and wish only to avoid suffering. He saves fish and ants and ravens, making great sacrifices to care for the wild ones about him. On his own feet, he finally ventures forth and finds that a king's daughter is being offered to a man who can perform a seemingly impossible task. He sees the woman, the daughter of the king, and falls so deeply in love, he steps forward and takes up the challenge without a thought for his life. For he loves, and deeply so. So a golden ring is flung into the deepest ocean, and the servant is told to bring it back. If he does not, he will be drowned within the waters, holding the lost ring. But the fish he once saved brings him a mussel with the ring inside of it, and he is saved. Only the princess will not have him till he passes another test. She throws 1,000 grains into a field and demands they all be picked up by dawn. And the ants he helped bring forth the grains, and not a one lay upon the earth. But she demands one more thing, although a grudging respect and awe had dawned in her cold heart. She says she will marry him when he brings her an apple from the tree of life itself. And he wandered and became lost, but 3 ravens bring him the apple, and he offers this to the princess. She takes it from him, her cold heart thawed, cuts it in 2 with a sharp little knife, and they each eat 1/2 and fall deeply in love, true love. There are no more excuses. They live together until they are very old, and their children cry again and again for the story how they met and wed to each other. When this card comes to you, you may have recently experienced a time when you felt people seemed distant, unemotional, and lacking in warmth. But if you continue to do the right and good thing, you will find there will soon be a breakthrough moment. There will also be a time soon when all the groundwork you have done in a relationship will suddenly become worth it. You are going to be able to change people's lives and help their hearts heal from the frost that can settle around a wound. You are in many ways the healer of the wounded heart, and soon you will see how this is true. Puss in Boots, Wit. This is the famous tale of seemingly insignificant friendship and gifts bringing us great blessing. For Puss is the only inheritance our young hero receives from his father, while his brothers seem to receive so much more. But in truth, this inheritance is everything his brothers received and so much more. For this cat is determined to use his considerable intelligence and charm to raise the boy up to the status of a prince, literally a rags to riches story. And all the boy must do is as the animal tells him. In many ways, this tale is morally ambiguous. Puss does lie and trick and deceive and flatter his way upward. However, he also saves the life of his master so many times. And so to me, this tale suggests a deeper relationship, and that this clever cat who wears boots and speaks and thinks faster than anyone else is truly this boy's guide. Everything the boy gains is due to Puss, and the tale never suggests there is any reparation to be made for the use of wits rather than work in the gaining of status, esteem, and treasure. So if you have received this card, please look around you for the blessings you have been given. They may seem extraordinarily humble. Who inherits a cat? But what if the cat is wisest and most clever of all? This tale also suggests that we respect the wisdom of the natural world, which has no compunction about using wit, camouflage, and hunting skills to live and prosper. Nature does not judge the hunter or say the butterfly is deceitful because it resembles a flower and thus is protected. Look about you for the clues and cues from nature, and most especially any animals you are particularly drawn to or close to. They are your allies, and their messages can lead you to great achievements. This is an immoral story, and it is sometimes judged as unworthy or being so. But its immorality is valuable. It makes you question. What would I do to rise, to do well? What are the politics of status in the world? Does Puss simply know how the world works? And is he gifting all his knowledge and wile to the boy without any thought of payment? For it seems that Puss delights in the use and exercise of his intellect. And when is wit and politics worth drawing upon? For Puss is a great diplomat, a wily lifesaver, a creature of two worlds, whose charm is put to immense use and whose loyalty is unquestionable. And if this card has come to you in the very simplest of terms, it is time to use some cunning, some true genuine, and to have your wits about you and see opportunities out rather than await them to come to you. The Goose Girl. Theft. A young princess sets out on a long journey to marry a prince. Her mother, a widowed queen, gives her only daughter a protective charm, 3 drops of her own royal blood upon a snow-white handkerchief, and a golden goblet from which to drink. The princess will take the journey upon her beloved horse, the wondrous Falada, who has an extraordinary talent. He can talk. She is to be accompanied by her maidservant, and so the 2 women, one royal, one servant, set upon the journey to destiny. After hours of travel, the castle is far behind them. Thirsty, the princess asks the servant to fetch her water in the golden cup, but the maidservant tells her shortly to get it herself. She will not give the princess the golden goblet. So the queen's daughter cups her hands in the flowing water of the river and drinks, while leaning over the 3 drops of blood somehow speak, sighing that if her mother knew how she was being treated, her heart would be broken. A second time the princess stops and asks for water. Again the servant refuses. The princess, shocked, drinks again from the stream, and again her mother's charm sighs, speaking of how wrong this treatment is and to beware. The princess is so shocked at the warning, she tumbles forward into the stream, and the handkerchief with her mother's blood and her magical protection is lost. With the golden goblet in the keeping of the maid, the blessing of the mother lost, the maid makes her move, and demands the princess strip and swap clothes with her. She explains that she is going to be the princess. She will marry her intended, and if the princess speaks a word, the maid will kill her. She forces her to swear an oath of silence, that she will never speak to another person of this crime. The princess, disabled by her own gentleness and sheltered life, obeys and agrees, so begins her life as a servant. And ultimately, as the goose girl in the kingdom, she was once meant to rule over. This story seems a simple one, of true identity and injustice. It also seems to be about, at its heart, overcoming intimidation and restoration. But this tale is also deeply magical. The charm given to the princess is one of the most potent of fairy tale symbols. The river is a place where her true self is lost, and from that point forward, she is no longer able to speak her truth to a single person. The loss of the protection of her mother is the catalyst for change within this tale. When we lose who we are, our ancestral link, our stories, our connection to place and to land and to blood, we are lost. And our identity can be taken, and we can be bullied and intimidated into giving up our power, even our true selves. And so the maid takes the goblet, takes the princess's horse, the noble Falada, and then she takes her destiny. The prince is fooled, for he sees only the maid's fine garments and her pretty face. But the old king can see the young servant's dignity, beauty, and grace. Even so, the false princess has Falada's head cut off, so he cannot share the truth with anyone. And she hangs his head over the gates of the castle to remind the goose girl of what her fate will be if she speaks out against the false princess. Each day she tends the geese, combs out her hair, golden strands flying in the breeze, and speaks with Falada's head beneath the gates of the castle, sharing her burdens and fears. Their friendship continues even after death. The king sees her speaking with Falada, and even though she refuses to share with him what it is she spoke of, he convinces her that she must share her tale with an iron stove, a place of ironclad safety where no soul will hear her. Her story spills out, her heartbreak over the murder of Falada, the golden cup, the loss of her mother's gift, and how ashamed she is of letting both her mother and her dead father down. The king, now aware of the deception, asks the false princess what she would do should someone steal a princess's identity. Slaughter a magical beast, steal a mother's charm, and deceive a prince and a king. The false princess declares that she would send this person rolling down a hill, trapped within a barrel studded with the sharpest of nails. The king declares this to be her fate, frees the goose girl, and restores her to her royal status. This may seem to be a tale about a bitter servant and a weak princess, but it is at its heart about protective magic and magical beasts, about appearance and truth, and about identity and generational truths. There is a rich vein of symbolism in this beautiful tale, and so when this card comes through, know that someone extremely honorable has been wronged, and their work, their special signature has been stolen from them. The truth must come out. If any have stolen or taken what belongs to you, metaphorically or actually from you, it shall be restored to the rightful owner. It also speaks of how the cruelty a malevolent and jealous soul wishes upon an innocent other will only return to them. There will be a balance and a reckoning. Again, the strong connection with the nobility exists beyond death. Falada's magic continues. It cannot be killed. Nor can the truth. Justice will be done. Allies continue to do their work on your behalf. And even when the protection of parents vanish, your own integrity and nature will see you through. Truth pours forth, and the old king, wise and perceptive, hears all her words and knows the truth for himself for the first time. She may have lost her status, but her nature is still noble. After 3 days of tending the geese, her story becomes known. The false princess is punished cruelly after choosing the punishment for herself. And the prince learns wisdom and how easily fooled he was. Falada stays half within the world and half within another, and the princess does not forget what it is to be let out, and is a kind and fair queen in her turn. I hope this helps you guys, and have a blessed day. Bye!